everyone, it's Dr. Travis McDermott, Vegas Vet here once again. Here today to talk to you about 4th of July. I'm not talking about fireworks and barbecue and family and good times like that. I'm talking more about the effect that those things have on your pets. Okay? Many of us have had pets with around fireworks in the past. We know that it can be scary for them, that they can go through a lot. So I came together with some tips for you as far as addressing the concerns with your pets, and we talk a little bit about some of the medications that we can use in these guys that your vet can provide for you. So first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about the fireworks. Obviously the big fear of the sound involved in them, the popping, the lights. So the best thing that I recommend for your pet is not going to these events. I recommend keeping your pet at home in a quiet, dark area. I'm not saying turn the lights off on them, but provide them an area that's not, close to the windows, that kind of thing. And then we want it quiet as far as hearing outside sounds, so closer to the center of the house. But oftentimes with the sound, I would recommend playing some music, something to kind of counterbalance the sounds of the fireworks. So that'll help keep them from being so fearful. Provide them plenty of food and water. The water, they tend to pant a lot when they get stressed and they get thirsty, so make sure they have some water. And I don't recommend keeping pets outside. We see a lot of pets that get loose during this time, they get scared, and they escape. So if you can keep them inside, that's definitely the goal. As far as preventing something if they do get loose, obviously keep their collars on them when they're in the house, with their tags that are updated. And if they're not already microchipped, I would recommend not only microchipping them, but making sure that you register that microchip, because there's a large amount of microchips that are put into dogs that are never registered. They don't do any good if they don't know who they belong to. Some people think that the microchip will tell us, who you are, your address. The microchip gives us a number. That's all it gives us, is a number. So that way, animal control, vet's office, we have a scanner that will tell us what that number is, and we can call and find out who they belong to and get in touch with them. But extremely important if you have that, and if not, you should get it. It's something that's definitely worthwhile to have. Now, as far as we're not talking about the fireworks, but as far as around the party, you have pets around there, make sure everybody's keeping an eye on the pet. If you have a dog walking around your yard, tell everybody, hey, keep an eye out. Let me know if the dog's looking like it's gonna get out. We have pets that escape that way also. Making sure that if, this is a great time of year for barbecue. I love to barbecue and grill, as you'll see in some of my pictures that I post on Sunday. But they love barbecue too. It just doesn't always love them. So we have to be really careful. We see many cases this time of year of pancreatitis, which is an inflammation of the pancreas due to excess fat. So somebody feels bad for them, they are throwing the puppy eyes, and we throw them a rib or a rib bone, and then we see them in for either having a bone inside them or having pancreatitis due to the extra fats there. So unless you want to deal with that, or even just the diarrhea and vomit around your house because they get a hold of something that doesn't quite agree with them, keep those things away from them. Now, when it comes to the fireworks, sometimes the tips that I talk to you about don't always take care of the problem. So some dogs need a sedative. Now, we're very cautious with sedatives. There are many sedatives that are available. There's 3 in particular that we use routinely, and we just have to be cautious with the side effects that are potential with them. So, but they can be a valuable part of the 4th of July plan for your pet. So here are some of the drugs that we use and recommend.
The first medication that we commonly use for patients for fireworks and thunderstorms and other fear issues is acepromazine. It's probably the most commonly used drug for this, and it is a sedative. Like any sedative, it may have side effects. These side effects can include lowered blood pressure, which, if you're healthy, is not a big deal. If we have any existing kidney or liver issues, it can make them worse. The other common side effect that we see is an issue with the eyelids. So, as you can see in this picture, cats and dogs have a third eyelid that humans don't have. That eyelid comes over from the middle of the eye and is usually hidden unless we see things like dehydration or certain medications, and acepromazine is one of those medications. The medication causes the eyelid to be released a little bit so where you can see it better. So some people freak out when they see it, but it is a very, very normal thing that will go away as the medication wears off. Acepromazine works very well. It has a range on it that we will give you, and every animal responds to it differently. So some of them, a low dose will do absolutely nothing. Some of them it'll completely knock them out. So we usually recommend starting low and working your way up. And with any sedatives, I recommend a kind of practice dose before the night of the expected event, like 4th of July. The next medication that we use is a drug called Celio. This is a newer drug. It's actually pretty interesting. It's a gel that's put into the mouth, into the cheek, and it actually stays in the cheek area, and it emits or releases a small amount of a sedative that once the medication is no longer needed, you can remove the gel, and it kind of reduces the effect so that it doesn't last as long as it would for a medication like acepromazine, which can last 8 to 12 hours after you give it, and there's no turning back from it. So this is one that we're using more and more, and we've had some really good success with. The last medication that we're going to discuss is a drug called trazodone. Trazodone is an antidepressant that can have some sedative effects to it. Personally, I don't think that it provides the level of sedation that's needed for these dogs that are really freaking out, but it can be a great drug in those cases of separation anxiety, things that are more like long-term as opposed to these sudden events like this. So it is one medication that your veterinarian might recommend. As with any other drug, I recommend a practice run just to make sure that it works so that you know before the night of the event.
These drugs are also helpful for other situations, things like traveling, having guests over for a party, anything that can cause stress. I don't recommend them on a long-term basis. These drugs are not good for, hey, my dog's barking at the neighbor every night. We don't recommend it for that. We want to make sure that you're around with them and that you can see how they act on them, but they are helpful. And as I mentioned, we want to make sure that we take these guys and try the medication before the actual event so that we can see how that affects them and know if we need to try this one or something different. Hopefully this talk was helpful. Hopefully you guys have an amazing 4th of July. It's one of my favorite holidays because I do love the barbecue so much. And if you guys have any questions, you can ask in the comment section below. We're already getting tons of calls from people asking for sedatives. Something I didn't mention in there is just make sure, if I've never seen you before for your pet, it's going to be hard for me to write you a prescription. So if you've been in sometime in the past year, and you don't have any kind of, your dog doesn't have, or cat doesn't have any kind of issues with kidney or liver, I'm pretty happy right now. But just know that we do have to kind of make sure that they're healthy enough to handle them if you call. So, but we're there for you if you need us. And like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, like and share the video if you think someone else might find it useful. It's been another episode of Dr. Travis McDermott, Vegas Vet. Thank you guys for joining us.